Hello, everyone. I am Heather, and my channel is Heather Travels. Thank you so much for joining me today for this live Q&A with a focus on Disney Cruise Line. Right away, I want to apologize if my face looks pretty dark today. It is a very cloudy, dark day today. It actually was storming. There's a big storm coming. So if you see flashes of lightning or hear thunder, that's why, because it's storming today. My channel has over 500 videos on it about all aspects of travel. I am truly passionate about travel, and I have so many videos. If you haven't taken time to check it out, please be sure to go and check out all the videos on my channel. I have videos about everything from air travel, train travel, road trips, theme parks, cruising, international travel. I cover all of it on my channel, anything related to travel. Today's focus is on Disney Cruise Line, but if you have other questions that aren't related to Disney Cruise Line, you know, something else about cruising on other cruise lines or anything related to travel, go ahead and put those in the chat and I will answer those as well. If you are more interested in general Disney theme park information, I did do a live question and answer stream a couple of weeks ago about Disney because we just went to Walt Disney World over 4th of July. And we went to Disneyland in California in January. Now, all of the vlogs from our 2019 Walt Disney World trip are already up on my channel. And all of the vlogs from our Disneyland trip in January are already up on my channel. The vlogs from the trip we just took to Walt Disney World will be going up after the current series, which is all of our vlogs from our cruise on Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas after those are finished. So if you're interested in general Disney theme park stuff, that's where you should check. Also, if you're more interested in just general cruise information, I did a cruise Q&A, live Q&A, the week before that one. So that's also up on my channel. And again, I am currently in the midst of a series of videos from our cruise on Harmony of the Seas, which we just took at the end of May, beginning of June. So be sure to check those out. If you are interested in any of these things or you are interested in travel content, I would strongly encourage you and invite you to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Thank you in advance for doing that. Okay, so first let me talk about my background with Disney Cruise Line. My very first cruise was on Eastern Caribbean 7-night cruise on the Disney Magic in 2001 over the 4th of July. And at the time, the Disney Magic was a pretty new ship. It was only 2-3 years old. And I went on that cruise, just me and my 4-year-old son, Andrew. And one thing I want to say about that is that, first of all, and you may have heard this before, cruising is an excellent vacation value because you get your lodging, all your meals, and all your entertainment together in one price. So it's a really good value for travel and a good way to take a vacation. Along with that, given the fact that most of my cruises have been with just me and my kids as a solo parent, it's an excellent vacation to take if you are a solo parent because of what I just said. It's your transportation, your lodging, your meals, and all your entertainment is all taken care of for you. You don't really have to think about it because it's all already there. And the other thing is that you really can't, your kids can't leave the ship without you. So they're kind of confined, if you will, to the ship. It's actually a relatively safe place to give your kids a little bit of freedom on a cruise ship so that they can go around fairly safely by themselves from place to place. And it's a pretty manageable way for them to do that. And also the kids clubs on pretty much every cruise line are going to be really terrific. And if your kids are interested in going in there and meeting other kids their age and things like that, that's a nice option that a lot of other types of vacations don't offer. Okay, our last Disney cruise was in 2017. So it's been a while. We haven't been on a Disney cruise in 5 years. But like I said, my first cruise was on the Disney Magic in 2001. So I have over 21 years of cruising experience. Now, I have not been on anywhere close to as many cruises as some of the other YouTube channels who talk about cruising a lot, but I have been cruising longer in time than pretty much every major cruise YouTube channel creator that I know of, including Morgan from Very Unofficial Travel Guides, although he's pretty close. I'm not sure what year Morgan went on his first cruise. It might have been the late 90s, actually. He might have been cruising longer than me. But Tony from Lolita Loca has only been cruising for 5-6 years. Even Gary Bembridge from Tips for Travelers, who I love Gary's channel. Please go check out Gary's channel for excellent cruise advice. He only started cruising, I can't remember, but it's not as long ago as me. So even though I haven't gone on as many cruises as those folks, I've been cruising a longer amount of time. I started traveling with my dad when I was still in primary school, and so I have over 40 years of travel experience, and I've been a mom. My kids are 25, 18, and 14, and I've been traveling with my kids most of the trips with just me for over 25 years. So over 25 years. Yeah. So I have over 25 years of experience traveling with kids. Okay. So that gives you a little bit of background about me. No questions in the chat yet. So I am going to refer to my list. Several people submitted questions about Disney Cruise Line in either on Facebook, Instagram. I think that was the only place I got questions this time. Okay. I also want to add really quick, the picture that is my background today, and I apologize, you do not have a green screen. So that's why the edge of me looks funny. If I continue to do more live streams in the future, right now I was just doing these 4 live streams in July, I will invest in a green screen, but I don't want to do that unless I'm going to be doing lives quite frequently. But this picture behind me, I took this picture, is Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private island in the Bahamas. And I took this picture from one of those little paddle boats, like that blue one you see over on the side there. My youngest son, Ben, and I were out on one of those paddle boats, and I took this picture from the water looking back at the beach. Castaway Cay is an absolutely wonderful private island experience that Disney has. Disney Cruise Line is also developing a second private island destination now that they have a 5th ship, and that is called Lighthouse Point, and it's also in the Bahamas. I'm hoping that the reason they were expanding to a second private island location is because they have a 5th ship now, the Disney Wish, and they have a 6th one coming. They originally were gonna had an order for 3 new ships, but they cut that down and now they're just doing 2. I think that was related to the pandemic and everything. So, but I'm hoping that they'll stick with what they do now, which is that they always only have 1 ship at their private island at a time. Unlike, for example, CocoCay, which we went to in May, we were on Harmony of the Seas, which is one of the Royal Caribbean's largest ships, and Mariner of the Seas, which is another big ship, were both at CocoCay at the same time. And therefore, it can get kind of crowded when there's more than 1 ship at a private island at a time. So that's something I like about how Disney Cruise Line does it, is they only have 1 of their ships docked at their private islands at a time. Okay, before I get to the questions, I did want to address something. There are 3 things that I think that people tend to believe about Disney Cruise Line, or misconceptions that people have about Disney Cruise Line, that I, as a huge fan of Disney Cruise Line, it's my favorite cruise line. I would say it's my kids' favorite cruise line. Yes?
Yes.
Would you still say that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That I, as a Disney Cruise Line fan, and other people who really like Disney Cruise Line, these beliefs or misconceptions about Disney Cruise Line tend to really bother us. Okay. So I want to get these out of the way first. All right. One is that you should only go on Disney Cruise Line if you're a huge Disney fan. I do not think this is true. Obviously, there's a lot of things on Disney Cruise Line that you won't find on ships that are not owned by Disney. Okay, for example, all of the licensed character interactions. You're not going to find Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or Tinkerbell on any other cruise line. You're not going to find a Marvel themed restaurant or a Frozen themed restaurant on any other cruise line. You're not going to have Broadway quality theatrical productions of Disney licensed, shows like Aladdin the Live Spectacular or the Frozen show or Beauty and the Beast on other cruise lines. But that's because they own that stuff. So yes, they have those things, but there's a lot of other parts of the cruise experience on Disney Cruise Line that have nothing to do with stuff that Disney owns. It's still a very nice premium cruise line. The ships are gorgeous. I remember when we went on our first Disney cruise, Ben was pretty young, and one of the first things he said was, "I like the fancy." Okay, because they're very beautiful, elegant, gorgeous ships. They're really, really pretty. And there are more adult-only areas on Disney Cruise Line ships than I think any other cruise line on the sea, unless it's a totally kid-free cruise line, like Saga or Viking, okay? But for cruise lines that kids are welcome on, Disney has more square footage of adults-only area than any other cruise line. So something I think that people think is I have to be this big, huge Disney fan, and that's not true at all. There's Disney stuff on Disney Cruise Line, but beyond that, they're very beautiful, high-quality ships and a very nice cruise experience. One of the largest groups, and this always kind of throws me when we go on a Disney cruise, that you'll see on a Disney Cruise Line are adults traveling with no kids. I would even argue that that might be the largest group on Disney cruises, is adults traveling with no kids. And that's especially going to be true during the 40 weeks of the year that kids are in school, or on longer itineraries or more exotic, I guess you would, itineraries. You're not going to find a lot of kids on a 12-night European itinerary necessarily, unless they're European kids or UK kids in the summer, but you're not going to find a whole bunch of kids on a cruise in Northern Europe in September. So it's going to be a lot of adults. It's a very adult friendly, and adults really enjoy it. Solo adults, older couples. You will also see a good number of families with young children and multi-generational families, grandparents, parents, kids. I'll tell you who you don't see a lot of on Disney Cruise Line. Kids my kids' age. And on our last cruise, my son was, how old was Andrew? 21, I think. And he said, "Mom, I don't see anybody else my age." Now, there's the one place where I would say that it probably does help if your teenagers or your young adult children who aren't old enough to drink yet are Disney fans, because they're going to get more out of the experience, because it is a very fancy adult feeling ship. And if they can't fully engage in all the adult stuff, and they're not a little kid who's really into the kid-friendly stuff, they might feel a little left out. Yeah, thank you, Meg. And so if they're a Disney fan and they're a teenager or a young adult, so like 13 to 20, then I would say it would be a really good idea if they're a Disney fan, because they're going to be into Star Wars and Marvel and the Disney movies and Pixar and stuff like that, and they'll get more out of it, if that makes sense. Okay. Hi. Thank you for joining, June. Oh, yeah. My kids do like Disney. Yes. Here, I'm going to put this up. So June, who is Lucy's mom, she says, "Good evening, Heather and Heather Travels. Have just come home from work." Thank you, June, for joining us. "Hope your children are enjoying the school holiday." My kids have been off school, June, since January. Did we finish in January? Yeah. My kids have done school from home for 2 years because of the pandemic. And they were done with school in January before we went on our trip to Los Angeles and Disneyland in January. So they haven't had school in 7 months. So they're having a nice long break. And yes, they love Disney. Like I said, if you weren't here yet, we went to Disneyland in January. We went to Walt Disney World just a couple weeks ago over 4th of July. Yes, they love Disney. Okay. Whoa, good question here. Would a single 59-year-old man feel comfortable on it? I say so. I see lots of solo adult travelers on Disney. Yeah, there's lots of adult solo travelers on Disney. And again, I go back to that, all those adult only spaces. And they have a lot of, one of the things I love about Disney Cruise Line, they have a lot of really terrific activities. There's so much to do on the daily planner on Disney Cruise Line that you can't do it all. Like, we're always like, you're having to make these tough decisions. There's so many more games and interesting, what's the word? No, where it's, where you learn about stuff. What's that called? I went to a really cool, when I went on my first cruise on Disney. Yeah, I can't think of the word. Thank you. I can't think of it. Okay. On my first Disney cruise on Disney Magic, my son went into the kids club and I got to do adults only activities that he would not have wanted to do. For example, I went to a fascinating panel discussion given by the ship's officers, all about, it was like 5 or 6 of the ship's officers did a panel discussion with the passengers that wanted to attend. And they talked all about how the ship worked, engineering, nautical stuff, all of that. It was very, very interesting. That was not a kid-friendly activity. It was just adults. And it was fascinating. Enrichment, that's the word I was looking for. Enrichment activities, they have a lot of those. I also, on that same cruise, went on a fabulous behind-the-scenes theater tour. They let adults go behind the scenes, backstage in the Walt Disney Theater where they do the big Broadway style productions, and they explained everything about how the shows work. How do you put together a show with all these special effects and everything on a ship? And they showed us costumes and they showed us things backstage. It was terrific. And Disney has so many things like that are really best for adults or are only for adults. And they have a lot of lounge and adult space and a lot of late night adult shows, activities, games, things like that for adults to do. So yes, I totally think you would enjoy it. And if you happen to be a Disney fan, well, that's just like a bonus, but it's still a very nice, elegant, adult feeling atmosphere, especially, you get past like 8 p.m. There's no kids around anymore. And then the other thing that I would say about that is, on Disney Cruise Line, because there are so many activities that are meant for the whole family to do together, which is a gripe I have against Royal Caribbean, by the way. The kids that are on there, the younger kids, because everybody's always like, I don't want to be having all these kids around me. You really don't. The kids, the younger kids that are on Disney Cruise Line are one of two places. They're either with their parents, doing stuff together with their parents who want to be on a family vacation, or they're in one of the incredibly good kids clubs with the fantastic Disney Cruise Line kids club staff, being highly engaged and entertained, and they are not bothering you at all. Kids on Disney Cruise Line don't bother me because they're so busy. They're not out running around. Whereas on our last Royal Caribbean cruise last month, there's a bunch of wild, crazy kids unsupervised running around and pushing all the buttons in the elevator, right? Yeah. They drive me nuts. It's a different dynamic, and I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but yeah, exactly. Scott, very good point. You can see kids as much or as little as you want most of the time. Yes, that's very true. I think that's very true on Disney Cruise Line, but harder on more of the big resort type lines like Norwegian or Royal Caribbean. I feel like the kids are running a little more wild on Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and really do kind of bother people. So, but it's not like that on Disney. Question here. During the panel discussion, did they ever explain how they are able to stock up the boat for week-long cruises with food and other amenities? Luke, that's a really good question. And I do think that at that panel discussion, yes, they did. But I will tell you the other place I learned about that and actually saw it was we did an exclusive all access behind the scenes tour on Mariner of the Seas, Royal Caribbean. And it wasn't the general kitchen tour that like a lot of people do. It was expensive. It was like $85 a person. And it was just the three of us, me and my 2 younger kids. And it was like, how long was that? 3 hours? Yeah. And they took us down into like where they load the food, and they took us like into the coolers and into the freezer. And we met the guy from, stores who does all that. And he explained all of it. And they also took us into where they deal with the waste. We learned about what they do with the garbage, what they do with the water, how they get rid of all that stuff. We got to go into engineering, which I could not believe. We got to go on the bridge. We got to see how everything works. It was fantastic. So a lot of ships will have that, but it's going to be the priciest option you see for a behind the scenes tour. And they talk about all of that in detail. And the people who work in those individual departments do a terrific job of showing it to you and explaining it to you. That's one of the best experiences I've had on a cruise ship. And that was actually on Royal Caribbean. So, okay. I'm from Valencia, Spain. Do you speak Spanish, Italian, German, French, and do you play soccer? Sí, yo hablo español. Sí. How do I say in Italian? I'm rusty on my Italian. I do learn Italian too. Ich spreche Deutsch et je parle français. Oui. I can speak all of them actually a little bit. I actually had a conversation with a lady in Spanish and a conversation with a gentleman from Austria, in German at Walt Disney World when we were there a couple of weeks ago. And Italian is my weakest. Of those languages that you listed, those 4 languages, which I study all of them continually, I'm working very strongly on my French right now because we are going to Paris very soon. So, and we're also going to Luzerne in Switzerland. And so I'm also working on my German. So I'm concentrating on those right now. Of those 4 languages that you listed, I find Italian to be the most difficult. Does anybody else feel that way? Has anybody else taken Italian? Italian is tough. Italian, Spanish, and French are all Romance-based languages, but of the 3, I find Italian to be the most difficult. I find Spanish to be the easiest, muy fácil, but I find French to be the easiest for me because I have taken French the longest and I've actually taught French. So French comes the easiest to me, and I think it's the prettiest of the 4. But Spanish, I actually think if you're a new language learner, Spanish is the easiest to learn. However, German is the closest to English because English is a Germanic language and is based in the same structure as German. If you look at German, a lot of it looks like you can almost figure out what it is because it's so close to English. So good question. Soccer, I do not play soccer. My son, Andrew, my oldest, he was on the high school soccer team for a couple years. He likes soccer, but, and the kids, I think, tried little kid soccer when they were younger. My younger 2 kids, neither of them continued on with it. Okay. Scott answered a question for Jack. Okay. Going back to my misconceptions or beliefs about Disney, the other thing that I was going to say, besides that you have to be a Disney fan, you definitely do not have to be a Disney fan. If you are a Disney fan, you will love Disney Cruise Line, but you do not need to be a big Disney fan to enjoy a cruise on Disney Cruise Line. Okay, so that's the first one. Second thing I don't like is people try to compare a Disney cruise to going to Disney World or Disneyland, okay? No. Okay, they're not comparable. They're 2 completely, totally different types of vacations. Disney Cruise Line is a cruise, okay? You need to like being on a ship, and you need to like being on the ocean, and all that entails. The only way I guess I would compare like a vacation to Walt Disney World and a cruise is that they can both be fairly inclusive, like with your hotel, meals, and activities or entertainment kind of all being together. There's that. But do not think that being on a Disney cruise ship is anything like being at a Disney theme park, because it's not. Okay. And I actually appreciate that Disney Cruise Line has not attempted to make the Disney Cruise Line ships into an amusement park, because I don't think that stuff really has a place on ships. What I'm talking about is, I mean, water slides are fine. I feel like water slides is just kind of a fun thing to add to a pool area. But like Norwegian and Royal Caribbean and Carnival, roller coasters, Bolt on Carnival Mardi Gras, the Ultimate Abyss slide on Royal Caribbean, that's going to be coming up in a vlog soon. Megan thought that was a total waste of her time waiting in line. It lasted 15 seconds. Was that right, Meg?
What?
The Ultimate Abyss slide?
Yeah.
Total waste?
Yeah.
What was the trampoline virtual reality thing on the Sky Pad? Bungee jumping on a trampoline. Okay, the rock climbing walls. I mean, the flow riders are they're probably fine, but they take up an awful lot of space. And then like the go-kart tracks that take up so much top deck space on Norwegian. They are adding all these things, trying to turn the ships into a theme park, okay, or an amusement park. And here's what I have a problem with those. And this is as the mom of kids. My kids couldn't care less, okay? Those things are all what I would call a one and done. You do it once and then you don't do it again for the rest of the cruise. Half the time they're going to have some horrible, outrageous line, or they cost extra money. On Norwegian, that's definitely the case. And I think Bolt is on Carnival too. And then all of those things, I would argue, you're going to have a much better experience doing those types of things on land. The versions that they put of those attractions on ships are going to be shorter and not as good as their equivalents on land. Hope that makes sense. So do not think that Disney Cruise Line is in any way similar to going to Disney theme parks, because it's not. It's a cruise. Okay, the other thing I do not like that is a misconception about Disney Cruise Line, this is the last one, is people try to compare Disney Cruise Line directly with other cruise lines. And I just don't think you can. And the reason I don't think you can, and the number one place I see this coming up for people, is price. Yes, Disney Cruise Line is expensive. There's a reason that Disney Cruise Line is expensive. It is a premium cruise line. It is not comparable to large resort cruise lines such as Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival Cruise Line, or MSC. It's not in that same class. If you're going to put it in a class as far as a cruise, it's a premium cruise line, more like Princess or Celebrity. That's the level that it's at as far as cruising. So you have to remember that. Also, Disney Cruise Line includes more than the large resort cruise lines. Good point, Scott. They don't have any casinos on Disney Cruise Line. They do have bingo, which is very popular. So they don't get that revenue. That is probably part of it too. I would also argue that all the IP, all the stuff that they own, their characters and everything, contributes a lot to the cost. But you get, like, for example, one of the things you get included on Disney Cruise Line that you don't get on the other cruises is all your sodas included. Your soda is free at all your meals on the top deck. You can get soda anytime you want. You don't have to buy a soda package. You don't have to buy a refillable cup, nothing like that. On Disney Cruise Line, it's included. And then the main thing I would say about Disney Cruise Line, this is the way you really need to think about it. Disney is one of, if not the largest entertainment companies on the planet. They're also one of the oldest entertainment companies on the planet. Entertainment is their business. They know how to entertain people in a variety of ways, and they're very good at it. This is everything from, I mean, they own ABC television, they own, you know, their theme parks, they own the cruise ships, they own all of the IP. They have, do they own Hulu? I think they own Hulu, ESPN. I mean, they have a huge amount of stuff that they own that's all about entertaining people. So the best way I think that you need to think about Disney Cruise Line and why you can't directly compare it to other cruise lines is because Disney is an entertainment giant that happens to have some cruise ships. Okay? Whereas all the other cruise lines are cruise lines that happen to have some entertainment on them. Okay? That's how you need to think about it. And if you're not a Disney fan, you still need to approach it and go on those Disney cruise lines and just pay attention to the incredibly immersive and amazing way that they are entertaining you from the second you step into the cruise terminal, really. Until, you know, the whole thing is an experience. It's not meant to be just a cruise. The whole thing is an entertainment experience. And then the other thing I would say about like the ships themselves is they're not meant to be like the white ships. Okay? They're designed on the exterior and inside too to go back to the classic golden age of transatlantic crossings. They are designed to look and have the feel of an ocean liner. So as strange as this sounds, I would say that the best comparison you could make between Disney Cruise Line ships and another cruise line as far as the ship is concerned is Cunard. Okay? Because they're actually trying to capture the essence of that classic ocean liner experience, both with the look and design of the ship and with the level of service. So that's kind of what you should be trying to compare. Not, you know, obviously it's kind of still apples and oranges, but that's what they're kind of going for. Now, the Wish is a little bit of an odd duck, and I'm not happy about how the direction they've gone with the Wish. I'll come back to that later if you guys want me to, but the ships themselves and the level of service are really designed. I mean, even the decor, they're either two of the ships are Art Deco and two of the ships are Art Nouveau, which were decor styles from the 1920s and 1930s. This was the golden age of transatlantic crossings when everyone traveled to and from Europe by ship because there was no air travel yet. That's the essence of the experience that Disney is trying to recreate on their ships. That's a different thing than what you think of like with the big white ships, if you will. So hopefully that helps you kind of get where they're coming from. And what I mean with the Disney Wish is the first four ships have this really beautiful classic nautical style to them. And I'm disappointed with the Disney Wish for two reasons. One is the name. The Disney Wish was not the original name of that ship. That ship was the Disney Enchantment. And at some point during the building process, they changed the name to Wish. And I don't know why. I much prefer Enchantment and think it goes along really nicely with what they're doing in the theme parks with the 50th anniversary and everything. And I don't know why they changed it. The Wish is designed to look like a castle on the ocean. And the overall theme of the Wish is princesses. I think they do the theming very well. And from what I've seen about the Wish, it's still a beautiful, beautiful ship. But they've gotten away from that classic nautical ocean liner look. And a lot of Disney Cruise Line fans, myself included, are disappointed that they went that direction with the new ship. But I'm going to reserve the rest of my opinion about the Wish until I actually get to go on it. And I'll see what I think. But yeah. Okay. Any other questions come up in the chat? Okay, I'm going to go to the questions that were submitted I probably am going to end up going over an hour here, but don't worry. If we're still live, go ahead and submit questions. Okay. How often do they introduce a new ship, and are they more expensive than the older ones? Disney has a history of, very good point, Scott. Let me touch on what Scott said here. I think they did the same thing. They'd get criticism for not doing something new. That's a good point. And I'm sure there's a new generation of people that will appreciate the Wish for what it is. So yeah, I mean, that's a good point. How is the Wish different? Well, first of all, it's a little bit larger. And secondly, it's the interior. The exterior, they kept the same look, which I appreciate. Like that classic ocean liner look. They even had to get special permission from the US Coast Guard to have the lifeboats be Mickey yellow instead of the traditional orange. But it's a different theming inside. It's the atrium, the main lobby is where you see it the most. And also the staterooms. I'm a little concerned they're going to regret what they did with the staterooms. The staterooms were always these classical nautical colors with wood and lots of red and blue in the other 4 ships. In the new ship, they're white. Lots of white everywhere. And just because they have a lot of kids on the ships, I'm afraid that's going to end up being a cleaning and maintenance nightmare. So it's supposed to be like a castle. It's supposed to be very royal, if you will. That's kind of the thing that they're going for on the Wish. How do the prices for extras like the spa compare on Disney versus other cruises? The same. Spa on cruise ships is horribly expensive. You can get the same or better spa services on land than on any cruise ship. Cruise ship spa prices are always very expensive on even Carnival. But there aren't any other extras on Disney. That's a big difference because it's a premium line. Things like soda and, boy, I don't know about internet. Does anybody know about internet on Disney Cruise Line? I've never gotten it on Disney Cruise Line, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Shore excursions are going to be comparable to any other cruise line. What other extras are there? You don't have to. The specialty dining, which are adults only, Palo, Remy, and there's a new one on the Wish. I can't think of the name of it right now. Those cost extra, but that's true on any other cruise line too. Specialty dining costs a little extra. So it's really the same. Okay, going back to the ships and how often they're released. They tend to release them in pairs, and they're doing the same thing again now. The Magic came out in 1997. The Wonder came out in 1998. Those are considered the legacy ships. Those are the smallest original ships in the fleet, but that you would not be able to tell their age going on them. They're beautifully kept up. Okay, then they came out with the Dream in 2010 and the Fantasy in 2012. So those were about 12, 13 years apart between those 2 pairs of ships. And now the Wish came out in 2022, and the sister ship to the Wish, which they haven't released a name yet, was supposed to come out in 2023. The Wish was supposed to come out in 2021. It got bumped because of the pandemic. And now the sister ship, which we don't know the name of yet, is going to come out in, I think, 2024. So they come out like a year or 2 apart from each other in pairs about every 10 to 12 years. That's what they've done so far. Ooh, somebody said about internet. Internet on all 4 original ships is expensive and kind of slow. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of true across the board, though, for all cruise ships. You're just not going to, except for Royal Caribbean. Zoom on Royal Caribbean is really good. But it's just hard to get good Wi-Fi on a ship. It just is. I mean, you're on a ship. Okay. And are the new ships more expensive than the older ones? Yes. But that's not just a Disney Cruise Line thing. That's an everybody cruise line thing. Any new ship is going to cost the most. Whatever the newest exciting new ship is on any cruise line is going to be the most expensive. So, or at least for comparable itineraries. The same cruise, I'll give you an example. what you're going to pay for a 4-night Bahamas cruise on the Disney Wish out of Port Canaveral right now is going to be way more expensive than what you would have paid for the same cruise on Disney Dream when it was in Port Canaveral 2 months ago before they relocated it to Miami, because it's newer. And that's true. That's a really big thing with Disney too. The date of your cruise is going to really affect the price of the cruise. You can get a totally different price for the exact same ship and itinerary depending on when it is in the year. The 2 lowest months for price for Disney Cruise Line are January and September. If you want the cheapest possible cruise, look at cruises in January and September. That's going to be the lowest price. Single scene on Disney Cruise Line. I don't know. I don't care. I'm usually actively engaged with doing things with my kids, and so that's not something I've checked into. If anybody can answer that, I'd like to know. They do have single stuff on the Disney cruise ships, so I'm not sure. Good question. Okay. How long are most Disney cruises? Just like any other cruise line, they're going to vary depending on the itinerary. The shortest Disney cruises are 3-night Bahamas getaways out of Port Canaveral. And the longest I've seen is a 14-day European cruise. So either in the Mediterranean or Northern Europe. So they're going to be somewhere in that range. The most common cruise that most people book is 7 nights. But you'll have everything from 3 to 20 longer. I mean, there's world cruises that are 180 days. Disney doesn't do world cruises yet, but it's going to be in that range. I think the most popular are probably like the 5, 6, 7 night cruises. Okay. If you like Cunard, I think you're in for traditional. Yeah, I'm not in a Disney cruise line, but nice to know about any ships. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to try Cunard. We actually were trying to book a transatlantic on Cunard this summer, but by the time I had the money to do it, they were all booked up. So that's on the list for a future. Oh, good point, Scott. I forgot about those. Yes, there are sometimes 2-night Disney cruises on the Wonder out of San Diego. The Wonder goes out of San Diego sometimes when it's repositioning from Florida to Alaska for the summer. One thing I've noticed with the Wish coming out is they're switching all the ships around from where they've been before. I'm wondering if they'll do that with the Wonder too. Like coming up here, the Magic has always been the ship to go to Europe, but this is its last summer in Europe. Next year, it's going to be replaced in Europe by the Dream. The Magic is going to start going out of New Orleans. So, kind of just watch where they put the ships because they move them around. Okay, what places does Disney have cruises? Also a good question. So I just mentioned a few of them. The number one, obviously, is the Bahamas and the Caribbean. And currently, you're going to have 3 options for that right now. You've got the Dream out of Miami right now, the Wish out of Port Canaveral, and the Fantasy is out of Port Canaveral. The Fantasy has done and continues to do, since its inaugural sailing, 7-night Western and Eastern Caribbean sailings. When we were on our Harmony of the Seas cruise, Eastern Caribbean in June, we were following the Disney Fantasy to all the ports. They were there at some of the same ones as us. And then the Dream and the Wish do the shorter Bahamas cruises. So 3, 4, 5 nights. Once in a while, they'll do a 6-night with like a double dip at Castaway Cay. So that's the ships there. The Wonder has historically done Western Caribbeans out of like Galveston, Texas, or Florida. And then it repositions in the spring and fall through the Panama Canal. So you'll sometimes see a Panama Canal cruise. Once in a great while, it'll go to Hawaii. And I would love to do that, but I haven't seen one in a while. And then they go to Alaska in the summer. So the Disney Wonder does some of those cruises out of San Diego in the interim, and then they spend their summer season in Alaska. So you'll find the Wonder in Alaska in summer out of Vancouver. So that might be a trick for some people. Not everybody can cruise out of Canada. If you have any kind of criminal record, you can't cruise out of Canada. If you have an OWI, you can't cruise out of Canada. And then in the spring and fall, then they'll do some of those cruises of the Mexican Riviera out of San Diego, the Wonder. The Magic has historically done the, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Magic does all sorts of stuff. They've moved that one around. We've done a cruise on the Magic out of San Juan that ended in Miami, 5 nights. It was great. They don't do that often. No, that would have been a repositioner kind of too. Magic has historically been the ship they sent to Europe in the summer, but like I said, next year they're going to replace it with the Dream. The Magic is in Europe right now. Okay, so, but they don't go anywhere else. So Alaska, Mexico, the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and Europe. That's as far as Disney's reach has been. Oh, they do also go to Bermuda out of New York. And they do Eastern Canada out of New York. That's right, out of New York City. They do in the fall, whatever ship is coming back from Europe, so it's been the Magic. They'll have some New York City-based cruises for several weeks. Usually those correspond with the Halloween-themed cruises that they do. And those, they'll go to Bermuda and they'll go to Eastern Canada. So that's another spot. But basically North America and Europe. Okay. Are they trained for customer service like the employees of Disney parks? Oh, yeah. I'm sure they have an extensive training program for their crew on Disney Cruise Line. The customer service is outstanding, just like you would see at the Disney parks. And then can you give some examples of how they, I need my reading glasses, hold on, how they exceed the service of other cruise lines? Okay, I thought of a couple things here. I'll give you a personal example. Oh yeah, I agree. Service is often better on the ships than in the parks. Is that what you mean, Scott? I agree. Yeah, I think not only do I think that the service is better on the cruise ships than in the Disney theme parks, yes, but I also find that the service on Disney Cruise Line is better than on other cruise lines. Now, I haven't been on any like luxury lines, so maybe those would be just as good. Yeah. But when we went on our cruise on the Magic when Andrew was 4, on our embarkation day, the day we started cruising, Andrew got soot in his eye from the funnel. And so I took him to the medical center, which is usually on deck 2, by the way, on most ships, deck 1 or deck 2. And they saw him right away and they cleaned out his eye and they examined it and everything and looked at it. They did not charge us anything. And I think that's probably because that was the ship's fault. It's not Andrew's fault that the ship got soot in his eye. And so that was very nice. And then the next day, the doctor called us in our room to check on him. So that's an example, I would say, of exceptional service. Another example I would say is you're always going to get a towel animal in your room every single night of your cruise on Disney Cruise Line. And not only are you going to get a towel animal, but they are very creative with their towel animal game on Disney Cruise Line. They would take my kids' stuffed animals and incorporate them into like a scene on the bed with the towel animals, my glasses, a book. They, like they do a whole thing with the towel animals. Oh my goodness. Well, that explains a lot. One server we had said he was recruited for Disney Cruise Line from Waldorf or Four Seasons. That should tell you everything right there. Another thing I would say, and I don't want you, don't take this the wrong way, but one thing I've noticed on Disney Cruise Line, the crew, like the guys who fix and take care of the ship and the dining staff are going to be the same country makeup, if you will, that most cruise lines are. However, the entertainment and the childcare staff, I have noticed on Disney Cruise Line, are usually American or British, maybe Australian. And those folks are usually more expensive, if you will. It can be a little harder to get crew from the United States, the UK, maybe not, I don't know. But that's just something I've noticed. There tend to be more, it's like they're going out of their way to have people who speak really good English. I almost wonder if that's what they're doing. I don't know. But that's just something I've noticed, that I tend to see more British, Australian, and American crew on Disney Cruise Line than I do on other ships. So I don't know if that has something to do with the recruitment process, like what Scott was saying, or what, but it's just something I've kind of noticed. I've heard Disney cruises are the cleanest and well-maintained. Is that true? Okay. Cleanest, I don't care what cruise line you're on, especially since the pandemic. Cruise ships are the cleanest place you're going to go. My hospital isn't as clean as cruise ships. My doctor's office is not as clean as cruise ships. Cruise ships are so clean. And I mean, that's why when people were saying, oh, cruise ships, it's a petri dish or whatever. A hospital's a petri dish. The mall is a petri dish. Cruise ships are immaculately clean. You will not see a speck of dirt, dust, hair, anything anywhere on any ship I've ever been on. They're very, very, very clean. I've never seen, I mean, even when we went on that behind the scenes tour on Royal Caribbean, just learning about the way that they handle the trash is amazing. I mean, they're not handling trash and recycling that carefully in my community. I can tell you that. And then as far as kept up, they do a very good job of keeping up the Disney Cruise Line ships. I will say that Disney Cruise Line really takes great care to keep up with their ships. But a lot of cruise lines do. I mean, anybody who's been on a cruise will tell you, you'll see people cleaning, painting, redoing the varnish. I mean, all the time. I mean, they're constantly fixing them. So yeah, I mean, they do a really good job. Is Mickey on the ship? Yes. Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, Tinkerbell, all the princesses. Who else is on the ship, guys? And then they have special Star Wars Days at Sea and Marvel Days at Sea on certain sailings. And then you will have all the Marvel characters and Star Wars characters. And now, starting in January, the Disney Fantasy is going to be having Pixar Days at Sea, and they will be having Pixar characters. And I think that Chip and Dale, yep. The Incredibles, yep. There's lots of characters. Two things I think are really cool about meeting characters on Disney Cruise Line. One is you never wait as long as you do in the parks. The lines are much more manageable because you have a maximum number of people that can fit on the ship. So, you never wait very long to meet the characters. They're very interactive. They take a lot of time with you and talk to you and have a conversation with you. How long was that conversation, Meg, you had with Tinkerbell that time?
I have no idea.
I don't know. They talked for like 10, 15 minutes, So, I mean, they're very engaged with you and talk to you and everything. And then the other thing that I think is cool is they have different costumes than they do anyplace else. Mickey and Minnie have their Captain Mickey and Minnie costumes. On formal night, they're all in tuxedos. Look at my Instagram. My Instagram story right now is a picture of us with Goofy in his tuxedo on formal night on the Disney Cruise Line ship. And then, Pooh. Pooh isn't on the ship, is he?
No.
Pooh's not on there. That's true. Winnie the Pooh is not. I haven't seen him on a ship yet. If anybody's seen any of the Pooh characters, let me know. But that's a good point. I've only seen the Pooh characters in the parks. But they have like tropical wear that they wear they have pirate wear that they wear on pirate night. So it's really cool because you can get a lot of really cool photos with the characters in unique outfits that they don't ever wear in the theme parks. So that's kind of a fun, neat aspect of it. Okay. Did I miss any? Yeah, they consistently rank well in the inspections. That's true. If you look at the cruise, what is that site? There's a website where they have cruise like grades. There's one for environmental impact, and Disney scores high for that too. They're one of the probably the best cruise line for minimizing their environmental impact. Like they get good scores for how they dispose of trash and deal with water and things like that. And then there's another website. Does anybody know what it is? The one where they grade for like health inspections and stuff like that. I can't think of it, but yeah. Okay. We're almost through an hour. That went fast. Does anybody in the chat have any more questions? The CDC. Oh yeah. The CDC would have like health reports and stuff on the inspections. Thank you, Scott. On Disney Cruise Line ships. Yeah. If you're not aware, the CDC has now dropped its COVID color coding thing. The cruise lines are still reporting their COVID cases to the CDC, but the CDC is no longer reporting them on their website to the public. It was kind of pointless anyway, because every single ship at sea out of the United States had COVID cases on it. So it's just like any place else. There's COVID everywhere. It's just everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I've never seen, you ever seen Winnie the Pooh on a ship? They should bring Pooh on the ship. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like being on the ocean. I don't know. Okay, does anybody have any last minute questions about Disney Cruise Line or anything else? I hope that I've helped you today in helping you get a better understanding of Disney Cruise Line and what it's like. I don't know when our next Disney cruise is going to be. Originally, I had scheduled this live because we were going to be going on a 5-night Western Caribbean cruise on Disney Dream for my 50th birthday next month. However, we have changed that, and I'm still not sure if I'm going to leave it how I have it now. My best guess is our next, oh, you're on the Wish in a few weeks? Cool. Let me know how you like it. It's going to be sometime in 2023. I'm not sure which ship it'll be, and I'm not sure what cruise it'll be. I have something booked now on the Dream, but I'm not sure we're going to do that because I'm not thrilled about the itinerary. This is a good question. Are those pretty Disney princesses from model agencies? Meg, do you know anything about this?
What?
Where do they recruit the Disney princesses from?
You have to apply.
Yeah, it's just a casting call. It's a casting call, June. Sorry about my face being weird there. My daughter actually has been a Disney princess, not officially for Disney. My daughter has played the role of Elsa
And
Aurora. Yeah. Megan, my daughter, has played the role of Elsa several times, and she has played Aurora for our local community theater that has done licensed Disney productions. She's also been Christopher Robin in a Winnie the Pooh production. And her last theater production was she actually played Aduna, which is Anna and Elsa's mother in Frozen, in a live production of Frozen at a theater that seats 2,500 people. That was her last show that she did before the pandemic. But the main thing that they were looking for and what she had to meet there, a couple things. You have to look like the princess.
yeah.
That's the key thing. You have to look like the princess as close as possible. They're looking for people who look like the princess. They don't take them from modeling agencies. It's a general casting call. I've seen it on the Disney cast sites.
You have to fit very specific
yeah.
requirements.
Megan's saying you have to fit very specific physical requirements. Megan has the facial features, the right skin tone. She's blonde. They don't use her hair. No, they never used your real hair, did they? No, she's wearing a wig. Her last couple performances is also she was wearing a very expensive wig that was custom ordered. She looked just like Elsa. And then for Aurora too, she was wearing a wig, and they do her makeup and everything to make her look like it. The other thing,
You can actually see me wearing Elsa makeup. Because I just come from that show.
oh yes, thank you, Meg.
Universal
One of our
Studios.
Universal Yums videos, I think it was January of 2021.
Let me find it quick.
Yeah, Meg's gonna find it quick. Megan still has her Elsa makeup on in the video and in the thumbnail for the video. She's gonna find it quick, and I'll tell you which one it is so you can go see what her Elsa makeup looked like. And I mean, I'll throw a picture up when I get time of a picture of Megan in her full Elsa costume because she looks just like her. But you have to, just like at Disney, you have to meet very specific physical requirements for the role. So that's the main thing that Disney's looking for with the princesses. And the live face acting thing is tricky. You also have to have a voice that fits. For Megan, she had to be able to sound like her when you sing.
Yeah, it's January 2020.
Thanks. January 2020, our Universal Yums video. In the thumbnail and in the video, if you want to go back and watch that, you can see Megan in her Elsa makeup. She doesn't have the wig on in the picture, but she has her makeup on still because she had just come home from the thing and she was doing the Yums video with us. So, yeah, they have to be actresses. My daughter's been in 35,
Yeah.
40 productions, theatrical productions. We're both actresses. She's a very talented actor. So yeah, wigs for professional theater are really expensive and use human hair. Yeah, that's right. But the other thing that was really good for Megan and why Megan made such a good Elsa is the event that she was Elsa and Aurora for was a dinner theater meet and greet event. So we did dinner. I was usually one of the servants dressed in servant garb, helping serve the meal. We did like dinner and a show. So, and it was Cinderella's birthday. And so it was Cinderella's birthday, and there was one particular actress who usually looks just like Cinderella. She was usually the one who played Cinderella. And the other princesses were at the party for her birthday, and they would all each have their own particular song that they would sing and everything like that. So Megan had to be able to fit the physical description of the princess and sing like her and talk like her. And then after the dinner, the princesses each had a little station somewhere in the theater to meet and greet the guests, which were mostly little girls. And Megan had an up on most of the other princesses because Megan knows her Disney stuff. And so she was very good at answering little girls' questions or staying in character, which is very true of the Disney princesses that you'll meet on the ship or that you'll meet in the parks. You have to be able to stay in character. For example, a little girl asked Megan one time, "What's your phone number?" And Megan said,
I think I said I live in a castle, so I don't have
yep,
a
she
phone."
said, "I live in a castle, I don't have a phone." And then one time they asked you, "Who made your dress?"
And I said my fairy godmother.
Her fairy godmother's, or
Yeah, those are both her names, Aurora.
when she was Aurora, they asked who made your dress, and so she said my fairy,
Fairy godmother.
yeah, her fairy godmothers, because it's Flora, Fauna, and
Merryweather.
Merryweather made her dress. So she has to be able to stay in character and answer those questions, and that's the same as any face character that you meet at Disney or on Disney Cruise Line. They can't get tripped up by weird questions like that. So there you go. They're not taken from modeling agencies. It's a general casting call, but they have to meet very specific physical requirements so that they look as much like the princess as possible. And they have to be able to sound like her. They have to be able to stay in character. So hope that helps. Okay. We have some experience in this area. Okay. Any last questions that I missed? Yes, Magic is out of New Orleans in February. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. That is one of the ones we are considering. We might be going on Magic out of New Orleans for Megan's spring break from college. So stay tuned because that might be the ship Oh, yes, I agree. Tiana is terrific on the ship. She's, yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah, Tiana's great. She's terrific. Yes, she has actually looked into working for Disney. So that's why we know all this, because we've actually looked into it. I mean, she's going to college now, so she's not going to be doing that. But yeah, I mean, we have looked into that. So, okay. Any last questions about Disney Cruise Line or anything else? Thank you to everyone who joined us today for today's live Q&A. It was really fun. I really like getting to talk to everyone. If you are watching this video later after it's not live anymore, and you have any additional questions that I didn't answer today or anything you want to follow up on, please leave those in the comments of this video. It takes a little while for the live stream to process before it'll show up on my channel. But once it does that, then go ahead and leave your questions in the comments. I do always answer everyone's questions in the comments that they leave in the comments of my videos. So be sure you do that if you have other questions. Yeah, the Disney College program. Yep, that's a whole thing. Disney College program, though, it's not your whole college. It's a semester usually, a semester or a year. It's similar to like study abroad, but you're doing it at Disney. Yeah, so that's a thing. Okay, so yes, leave your questions. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this live stream. And our next trip is we're going to Europe. We're going to France, Switzerland, and the UK. So this is what you can look forward to on my channel. There is going to be the rest of our series from, well, tomorrow we have a little special video. Tomorrow's video is going to be a little break in the cruise content because we went on a little field trip last week and made a video about that. If you live in the Twin Cities area or the upper Midwest, that one will be of particular interest to you. And then the rest of our videos from our cruise on Harmony of the Seas. Good night, June. Thank you for joining. Are going to take us through the rest of the summer. And then after that, we have the vlogs from our Walt Disney World trip that we took just a couple weeks ago over the 4th of July. And then we'll start our videos from our trip to Europe. So that's what's coming up on the channel. Again, if you're at all interested in travel content, anything that we've talked about today, I mean, we take all types of trips. We're not just cruise exclusive people. We love to cruise and we cruise as often as we can, but we also like to travel other ways. So if that interests you, please be sure that you're subscribed and click on the notification bell so you don't miss a notification of any of my new videos. I usually publish 2 videos a week, sometimes 3. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe and safe travels.